Hello, welcome back to yet another video. I hope everyone is doing well. This video I wanted to start now. Is currently Thursday. We have taken two trades. Well, we're in one right now, and yesterday we took a trade, AUD CAD, which we secured some lovely profits on as well on my birthday. So special gift from the markets to me for my birthday. So thank you, AUD CAD. However, I wanted to start the recording now because I'm actually in the trade now. So I want to show you guys what I'm thinking and what's going on that way. So let's take a look. So as you guys can see, obviously, all I was waiting for was a simple break, retest to then sell. And if we actually take a look at my community and what I said yesterday, like literally go over to my community real quick. This is what I posted yesterday. I'm either waiting for GBPUSD to have a break, retest slightly higher, give me a sec, slightly higher up there, or if we don't get that pullback, we'll for sure get this break, retest, sells. If we go over to here, same exact thing, right? Same exact. We didn't get the higher pullback, but we got a super clean break, retest to then sell. Now, with regards to holding this trade, just going for a 1 to 2 here. If we obviously body close below this area, we'll be creating a new lower low. This is our lower high potentially. If it closes in an hour 33, it could have a pullback here to then continue the push. Remember, it is Thursday, so I'll probably exit out once very, very soon here. But I just wanted to show you guys, like, it is actually this simple. All you have to do is just follow the rules. If we don't get this, if we got neither of this, break, retest, I'm not taking it, right? Plus, remember, I have already taken a trade on AUD CAD also. So that's also very important to remember. This is our trade. Also, very simple. Break, retest, buy. Fast forward a little bit, it is now Saturday. I did in fact end up closing that GBPUSD trade not long after I obviously filmed that clip for you guys. I will do a full breakdown on GBPUSD as well as AUD CAD just because I think they are great examples and super clean trades, both of them, but very different because obviously one's a sell, one's a buy. But this is also a great lesson that I want to share with you guys. I haven't taken a trade for 2 weeks, and as you saw, I was waiting for USD CAD, I was waiting for this, waiting for that. It didn't happen, so this is why having multiple pairs and not focusing just on one is a good idea, because USD CAD didn't play out this week either, so I would have missed another week. But if I have more pairs, more opportunities, and patience pays, that's what I'm going to say. But let's jump into the breakdowns. You guys know the drill. The very first thing we have to do is simply start on the weekly time frame, identify the trend so we know if we're looking for buys or if we are looking for sells. As you can see, the weekly time frame is in fact bullish, okay, with a high and a high low. The reason I have two areas of support resistance, two areas of area of interest, they're all the same thing, it's just different names and different uses for them. So as you can see, originally, since price has shifted above, creating a new high, I was waiting for a pullback. The backbone of the strategy is simply break and retest, right? There's a little bit more that goes into it, but the backbone is break and retest. So I was thinking, okay, this is a very valid area of support and resistance and a valid area to set your area of interest. Like I said, the same exact thing. So all I was waiting for, okay, finally had that break, I'm going to wait for price to retest the zone, have a reaction, reject it, so I can look for those buys. But I was thinking, since price has broken up rather high and it's broken up quite, high up, it might not pull back all the way down here, okay, at the time. So I was like, okay, let's have a think if we could spot another valid area of interest. Remember, a valid area of interest is an area that has a minimum of 2 to 3 touches, okay? So as you can see, slightly higher up here, we have a valid area of interest. We have 1 tap, 2 taps, 3, 4, very valid. So I was like, okay, since price is all the way up here, will it pull back to here and have a reaction? I can still take advantage and look for those buys. If it doesn't respect this zone, that's absolutely fine because price hasn't shifted bearish, okay? So price can still pull back to here and still be bullish, okay? Unless it decided to close all the way down there, shifting bearish and create a new market structure, whatever, then I'm not interested for buys anymore. But because price had a pullback to the first area of interest, that's still valid. That doesn't mean that this week, as you can see, lovely rejection candle on the weekly, it doesn't mean that price might not pull back down to here, then have a reaction. Or, of course, price could easily just disregard the zone as well and then create a lower low and shift bearish. But for the time being, obviously price was all the way up here. I was waiting to see whether we were going to have a reaction from this one or from this one. As you can see, we had a reaction off of the first area of interest. So once we have the weekly done, if you're bearish or bullish, if you're buying or selling, and you find your area of interest, we can then go on the daily. Obviously, the daily time frame matches both, areas of interest because it's the same exact thing. As you can see, the daily time frame was also bullish. The same exact thing. We have a high, have a high low. Same exact thing applies. I'm waiting to see as we have this pullback whether we respect this zone, or if we don't, then okay, we can respect this zone. Obviously, option number 3, we disregard both those zones. But as you can see, we reach this zone on the daily time frame, still staying bullish. Okay, so once we get to this zone, I was like, okay, price is looking really nice, we can head over to the 4-hour time frame. The 4-hour time frame, as the daily and the weekly have this pullback, the 4-hour time frame is shifting bearish. So all I need to do is simply wait for the 4-hour to shift bullish. As you can see, this is the 4-hour low, this is 4-hour low high. So all I need was price to create a new high, have a very tiny retest as it has done right here, to then have that push. As you can see, it did just that. Of course, this small pullback and small retest isn't anything crazy, isn't anything major, but it still counts, right? We have still literally created a new high, which then this becomes our new high low. We've had the push, small retest, hovering in the zone, rejection, ready to buy. And the way I can tell that is simply going over to the lower time frames and waiting for a simple break and retest to then look for those buys. It honestly is very, very simple, and a lot of you guys overcomplicate this, and you might think, oh my gosh, I have so many lines on my charts. I literally have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, okay? And these are just extras waiting for obviously the low time frame retests, and that's it. So the most complicated part is simply analyzing the higher time frames to see, are we bearish or are we bullish, finding your valid area of interest and seeing what happens. If you don't get a clean entry, like this is why I don't trade for 2 weeks, because the past 2 weeks there are always opportunities. Yes, absolutely always. My students have been finding opportunities, they've been trading, but just the way I want to trade specifically, why should I force a trade when I have a full set of rules to follow, right? I want to lower my chances of losing as much as I possibly can. So when, you know, those 2 weeks that I didn't trade, I avoided so many losses because I could have taken a trade. But what's the point of taking a trade just for the sake of taking it, right? I know I'm repeating myself, but it's the truth. There's literally zero reason to force trades when I can wait 2 weeks and have 16.8k. Patience absolutely pays, guys. You know, if you are a scalper, obviously you trade every day, feel this, but being a swing trader, you can be selective. You don't have to trade every day, don't have to trade every week. You can if you want, but you don't have to. Anyway, so that's AUD CAD, very, very simple. And when it comes to GBPUSD, it's very, very similar, right? The same process continues. I don't know if you guys remember, but a few weeks back, you know, I was talking about a potential head and shoulder pattern, but very, very wrong. But the main aspect of this is that we are below our area of interest. A few weeks back, the daily time frame did, or maybe it was actually last week, the daily did actually decide to shift bullish, right? Because as you can see, this used to be our lower high, and this used to be our lower low. And until we body close either above, you know, our high or below our low, we haven't done anything. So if we were to pick this as our high and this as our low, and draw our lines, one here, all of this stuff, right? I know this looks like market structure and everything, but this isn't anything because we are still within our high and our low. If price obviously decides to do this, which is breaking above our high, creating a new high, that means we have shifted bullish, okay? So this now becomes our high, which means that we are in a bullish trend. So again, until price breaks either above our high or below our low, we are still bullish. So I was thinking, okay, the daily could easily just have a pullback to this area, have a reaction, and then continue to have the push, since we have shifted bullish on the daily. However, price had other ideas, right? So we did actually end up shifting back bearish, creating a new lower low at this point, and then this becomes our new lower high. So it's super simple, right? All I was waiting for was price to have some sort of retest. As you can see, the retest is happening right here. As we are having this retest on the daily time frame, I can go down to the 4-hour, right? So this is the retest on the 4-hour time frame, exactly the same, but it just, you know, there's more candles because the 4-hour is worth more. So super simple on that one. All I wait for on the 4-hour time frame, the weekly looks good, the daily looks good, the 4-hour starting to look really good. All I need from the 4-hour time frame is simply to have a break and a retest. As you can see, I have drawn a very nice little zone here, super small, but still very valid. All I needed was price to break, have that retest, for me then to look for those sells. So you know that picture I showed you guys in the first clip of the video where I showed my students, I'm either waiting for price to retest this zone. If we don't get a retracement here, then I'm very much so okay with price having a break and a retest here, right? Because I want you guys to understand that whether we have a break and retest, you know, at this zone, or we have a break and retest at this zone, it doesn't matter, right? This is still valid. This is still a valid structure point on the 4-hour time frame. We still have the other time frames looking good. Weekly, like I said, looks good. Daily looks good. The 4-hour looks good, whether it's here or here. And something that a lot of people get confused about is adapting to the markets and adapting to what price does. Because if I was to wait for the break and retest here, right, just forget I had this, forget I had even thought about what could happen. If I waited for this break, I'm like, okay, this looks good, all I need is a small retest. I'm waiting for this retest and it's just never coming, right? And I've missed out on all of this just because I am not able to adapt and think, okay, if this doesn't happen, what else could happen that is still valid and still within my strategy, right? Because as you know, price does whatever it wants. So it's not going to be like, okay, Nat said she wants me to pull back to here so that she could take sales and have a clean break and retest here. No, no, it absolutely does not care. So the way you can adapt is simply find a next structure point and be like, okay, finally price has not pulled back to this area. What else can I do that will still indicate that price is still valid and still very much so looking for sales? Obviously, you know, when I talk about adapting, I don't mean, you know, if the 4 hour decides to do this and then you're like, okay, I can still sell, but then you look and the daily suddenly has shifted bullish, right? Obviously not at this point, but just imagine, right? That's something that, you know, you shouldn't be looking for sales then if you have the daily bullish, the weekly bullish, but the 4 hours still bearish, whatever. So, you know, you have to pick and choose how you want to adapt. But what I mean is, if price is still very much so valid, you can just simply move your zone lower, right? Yes, we've had the break and retest here on the daily, but I just needed something extra. I needed the 4 hour to have a break and retest here. It didn't have a break and retest here, but it had it down there. So still very much so valid. And then we can go down to the lower time frame and it's the same exact thing, right? Price is still very much so bearish. All the way here is our lower low, all the way up there is our lower high, right? So price could even, you know, it could still have that breakdown there and still pull up to here and still be valid, and then have the break, then have the push. But as you can see, it didn't. We managed to capitalize on this move from here. And as you can see, I only got ever so slightly over a 1 to 2. Do you see how massive this move is? Right? Could have had 1 to 8, 1 to 7, 1 to 6, all of that, but I decided not to. And the reason for that is, once price hits my take profit, so you can look at 4 hour stretch points, daily, weekly, whatever. This was my 4 hour stretch point. Price hit that zone, and usually, yes, I could have held, right? That's my fault. But I don't want to be greedy. There's no need to be greedy. You can let your profits run. In this case, I technically should have let them run because we could have caught a lot more, but it's okay. As soon as I closed, I literally closed my laptop and I left. So in fact, I didn't even know half of this move to happen. I didn't until I looked at it again and I was like, oh gosh, I missed out on a bunch of money here. But it's okay, because if I was sat here after I had already closed the trade and I was sat here thinking, I wish I held, I wish I did this, it messes with your psychology. You don't need to do any of that. Once you closed, you secured your profits, don't be greedy. There's going to be options every week, right? So just don't shoot yourself in the foot and don't be like, oh my gosh, I wish I did this, wish I did this. We all wish we did something, right? But it doesn't matter. Don't let it affect you. Don't let it affect your next trade, because I could easily be like, oh, I wish I caught this move because my next trade's going to be really, really good. And for example, if I took GU first, obviously this was the second trade of the week, and then AUD CAD played out, and I would have been like, okay, I'm just going to keep holding. As you can see, AUD CAD hit my take profit and it went down. So if I was greedy, I could have been like, okay, because I never set my take profit zones, because I just let my take profit zone and I closed that trade manually GU, right? My mistake, it's okay. If I let it run, I would have been like, oh yeah, let's get a 1 to 8 here. I would have been stopped out. So that is actually a very, very good lesson. Don't be greedy, it happens. Price can do a crazy move and you might miss it, or I still caught the trade, right? I'm still happy. You should still be happy that you made any money, even if you made £1, if you made $1. It's $1 you didn't make yesterday, so be happy that you made it. But yeah, literally both examples are super simple, but they're a little bit different just because we adapted a little bit more on GU, and that's something that you have to start doing a little bit more in order to catch those trades. Because like I said, if I was sat here waiting around for price to have this retest, I would have missed out, but I didn't. So make sure you adapt, make sure you adapt in the right way also. But don't worry if you didn't take any trades. Like I said, there will always be opportunities in the markets. They just might not be right for you. Example, myself. The last 2 weeks I haven't taken a trade, and then this week I have taken 2. So pick and choose how you want to trade, when you want to trade. It is completely up to you, but there are always opportunities in the markets, and just make sure you stick to your rules and don't force anything. because patience pays and less is more. And that will conclude today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed the two breakdowns. As you can see, they were very, very similar, apart from obviously one is a buy, one is a sell. But I just want you guys to understand, not every single week is a trading week. The markets are simply not going anywhere. So don't worry if you missed out on even these trades, right? I missed out how many opportunities last week because I just didn't think they were right for me. This maybe wasn't right for you. And that's okay, right? It happens. Everybody sees the markets in a different way. Everybody is a different trader. So let's have a good week next week and hopefully more breakdowns coming. Slightly different video than usual, but I just wanted to mix it up here and there and see which style you guys like better. So let me know and we can take it from there. But don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.